Will Shigaraki inherit All for One? Now, this is a question that has been asked in the community of My Hero Academia as far as the manga is concerned. Maybe not the anime so much just yet, but once season 3 kicks in, probably. Anyway, let's just get into the whole topic. Will Shigaraki inherit All for One or will he not? Well, actually, there are two ways of looking at this whole situation, assuming he will inherit All for One in at least some way, which I think he will. I believe most people think that he is going to inherit All for One simply because it just makes perfect sense given that Shigaraki is All for One's pupil in the same way that Deku was All Might's pupil and All Might gave One for All to Deku, so why wouldn't All for One give All for One to Shigaraki, right? So first, let's talk about Shigaraki and all of these hands that he's been seen having on him, because these hands have not been properly explained yet, and it is something that I personally, at least, I'm sure some people will agree with me when I say that these hands are not just for show. There needs to be some functional purpose of these hands that he's been equipped with, and especially since some of the hands, I think 2 or 3 of them, are like connected to his body in some way, like you can see these tubes at the back of his neck, and it just got me thinking that what if All for One is not going to be giving Shigaraki his entire quirk, because what if it's not possible, right? Let's assume he's just gonna give him a select amount of quirks that he thinks is good for Shigaraki, because I remember during the hideout arc when they were saving Bakugo, All for One mentioned something really interesting, which was that he remarked a quirk and said this isn't well suited for Shigaraki's personality, which implies that he's collecting very specific quirks for Shigaraki. Now, if he was going to be giving Shigaraki All for One as a whole, would it really matter what quirks are part of All for One's arsenal? Because to me it seems like if he wanted to give, you know, his entire quirk to Shigaraki, he'd want Shigaraki to have as many quirks as possible instead of being picky about what quirks are we going to be giving Shigaraki. Now, my problem with this is that it wouldn't really make Shigaraki as big of a threat as if he were to be given the whole quirk, right? If he were only given a select amount of quirks handpicked by All for One, that would actually kind of limit Shigaraki in a way, depending on what quirks is being given, because I think it's kind of implied that at the end of the story, Deku is going to be stronger than All Might, or at least a better hero. He's going to be a more capable One for All user than All Might ever was. So Shigaraki kinda has to surpass All for One in a sense, and if he's only given, you know, a select amount of quirks, that's not really going to make him surpass All for One as we've seen him, and that wasn't even in his prime. I mean, imagine All for One in his prime. All Might was able to keep up with that, so I think in order for Shigaraki to become a better villain, he kinda needs to inherit the entire package. Now, the problem with this that I have, and it's not really a huge problem, well, depending on who you ask, it might be, but I'm very skeptical whether Shigaraki is actually capable of inheriting All for One as a quirk. And the reason is because One for All, the quirk that All Might was giving Deku, that quirk is merged with a quirk that has the power to pass down to more people. As in, you know, All Might was able to give the quirk Deku in the way that Nana was able to give the quirk to All Might, which kind of implies that All for One shouldn't have this ability. All for One's thing is he can take quirks from other people and he can give said quirks to other people as well. So he can take and give, but it has never really been implied that All for One itself can be given to someone else. Because as far as we know, the One for All user that we know right now is the original user. So he's been the same person, you know, ever since he was born with it. It's been the same person just fighting all of the different One for All users. So why would All for One as a quirk be eligible for transfer? Now that is my problem. However, let's assume it can be given. I think despite the fact that it wouldn't make much sense, it would still make Shigaraki a much stronger villain, a much more powerful antagonist to rival Deku in the later series. And that's why I hope that's kind of gonna happen. I do hope Shigaraki ends up inheriting All for One as a whole package, despite the fact that it may not make as much sense, it may not be as logical as if he were only given a select amount of quirks. Especially since these hands that Shigaraki have around him should have some kind of purpose. They're not just a fashion statement. Maybe I'm the only one who thinks this way, maybe I'm overlooking things a lot when I think about this whole situation with All For One and the Shigaraki getting only a handful of them, but I'm very skeptical about what do I think is going to happen? I mean, I do have a set opinion on what I want to happen, which is ultimately Shigaraki getting the entire package. However, I'm not sure if that is going to happen given the hints and implications we've been given throughout the story surrounding All For One and One For All. Anyway, I think I'm gonna end the video here, so let me know what you think down below in the comments, and as always, if you did, be sure to Detroit smash that like button if you enjoyed, and subscribe if you're new to my channel. This has been your favorite host, Perm, and I will see you next time.